Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the My Football Writer YouTube channel. It has been a while, but finally we found some spare time to actually be able to do a video for you after missing out on a few last week. And welcome back to Nodge Spotlight, the weekly sort of roundup and preview of the week just gone and the week to come. But we've got to talk about 2 weeks worth now because we weren't able to do this time last week. But I'm Freddie Wakefield, and I'm joined, as always, for Nodge Spotlight by Will Grant. First things first, Will, how have you been? You're not long back from a holiday in Prague. You were at the Derby game, and I'm sure you were at the Leeds game on Tuesday night as well. So, how have you been, and what's been going on in your life?
Yes, mate, that's correct. Week off in Prague, then obviously went to the last two games. That Derby game was absolutely chaos, and I'm sure we'll touch on it later. But I think it took about 40 years off my life. It was so chaotic, especially the last 10 minutes as well. But generally, I'm feeling good, feeling refreshed, back on the MFW grind. So all is well. All is well in life. How about you, mate?
Yeah, not too bad. Of course, it's been a long time since an MFW video. Just had so much going on, really. Just been a busy bloke. I wasn't even able to catch either game against Leeds or Derby, so I could only go off what I was seeing in terms of updates coming up on my phone and looking at social media, and then seeing all this controversy about the ball being out of play twice. But that didn't matter in the end, as Sainz tucked away a first career hat trick. Norwich got back-to-back away wins, which I can't even think of the last time we were able to do that. Certainly wasn't last season, that's for sure. But of securing an away win of a good point against a very strong Leeds side on Tuesday, albeit there was a lot of injuries for Leeds. They were without quite a few big names, but still to get a point and keep our unbeaten home run up to, I think it's now 22 games in all competitions. I believe it's 19 championship games, which is just phenomenal. That's such an incredible record. I think Norwich haven't gone this long without a loss at Carrow Road in over, I think it's since 1962. It's such an incredible run that they're on. But first things first, let's really sort of get a reaction on those two games. Will, as always, we've already covered, you were there at the game, so you have a bit of a better insight to them. Although at Derby, people may have seen you on the Sky Sports Twitter account with you and your mates dressed up as bananas. So that's an interesting one, to say the least. But first things first, we'll just go over those two games and some standout players from those games. There's two names, and we've already said one of them who's just been in electric form over the two of them. But what did you make of those two games, Will, with Derby and Leeds? What's your sort of, you're looking back, what's your reaction, you would say, on those two matches?
Yeah, so if I was to break it down, I'll go with the Derby game first. I think that the main thing for me across that Derby game actually was how poor the home side were on the ball. It felt like they found it really hard to make more than 5 passes together. And I think that allowed Norwich to kind of reclaim the ball in nice areas and then rebuild. Obviously, Norwich tried to orchestrate a way of trying to beat Derby to man-to-man press. And they did it quite successfully, really, because it always felt like Norwich had quite a lot of control throughout the game. One of those reasons was because of Callum Fisher, absolutely superb across the encounter, inverted it into midfield, and he was just so good, and it felt like with Fisher across the Derby game, the ball just stuck to his feet. Remarkable dribbling, and superb ball control. And I think when you've got a player who is so technically gifted, and you compare it to Jack Stacey, this isn't more of a slander on Stacey. Fisher gives you so much more from a technical perspective, and it showcased in the first two games already. Just more composure in those middle third areas of the pitch. I mean, I think we tried to see Stacey access the ball in deep areas on the right hand side, and he's found it quite hard to kind of take the ball, control it, and then let it go. So I think that was showcased against Swansea in particular as well. So definitely, I felt that Norwich had more control against Derby, but I think the one man that stole the show was Borja Sainz. An absolutely superb technique for his first goal. The second goal was just absolutely superb as well. Just individual brilliance. And it feels like I remember us two talking in the live stream after commentary, and we were saying if Sainz can actually step up this season due to obviously Rowe and Sarah leaving. Although I think it's fair to say that he isn't quite there yet in terms of their quality, I think he started to show that he can take that onus on him to try and really score a few goals for us this year. I mean, now I think he scored 6 goals this season, and I think only Matt just got more off West Brom as well. So that just goes to show how in form Sainz is really. And I think Borja hasn't been at his best in terms of general play this season. It feels like the Leeds game was quite a good step actually in terms of performance from Borja, but it's felt like Borja has kind of been at times a bit quiet. But what he has showcased is those moments of quality, and that's what Norwich had last season, and it worked really well for us. So that's very, very encouraging. Maybe it was a bananas because my away record, mate, has been terrible. I think pre-Derby, my last away win was Millwall in 2020. I think it was that was March 2023, wasn't it? So
yeah,
quite a long time. And I go to about 9 or 10 a season as well. So maybe I'm being a bit too tin pot there, but yeah. But then absolute chaos just absolutely happened, mate. So poor defending for that second goal. Like that, it was like watching it in slow motion, mate. Derby's second goal was atrocious defending. It just felt like Norwich were just so tired, and they just set this. I think it was Blackett-Taylor just like walk into the box and come off at home, and it was so lazy. And the thing is, although it didn't really have too much of an impact in the end, what it did cause to do was for Angus Guns to make an absolutely superb save. I think in a 96th minute of the game, just a superb reactive save. But the thing is, that can easily be avoided if you just focus like in the prime moment. But no. Norwich made it hard for themselves, and the last 20 minutes for me was absolute chaos. I think they had James Collins, Kenan Jackson, and Jerry Yates all up top, and all three of them can kind of hold the ball up quite nicely. And Norwich just found it hard to deal with the constant overloads, and I think that's probably really why Stacey came on. Actually, I think they wanted a bit more height because I think Derby would have probably. Took advantage of Keller Fisher's height and planted more balls towards the back post, hence why he probably came off. Although Keller was giving us so much on the ball, I think that was probably a bit wise from Hoff for up. But that referee was absolutely garbage. And do you know what, Freddie? I absolutely blimmin' love it. Absolutely love it. I'm sure I'll be absolutely raging when they go against us away at Stoke next weekend or in 2 weeks' time. But yeah, I'm absolutely all for a bit of referee error because it got us three vital points. And I actually think winning those 2 games back to back, it kind of going into this week, it kind of gave us a bit of confidence and momentum to try and really start the week well. Because I think if Norwich would have beaten Leeds, and then would have beaten Hull, I think the conversation would have shifted to Norwich fans thinking, okay, hang on, maybe we could get playoffs here, because it feels like across this season, when Norwich are in a good moment, they're going to have to capitalise on it because they've got quite a young squad. I know they've got some experienced heads in there in terms of Duffy and McLean, and that's brilliant. But the majority of the squad is quite young, and I feel like you have to kind of capitalise on those good moments when you can, because I think this year is going to be quite inconsistent for Norwich. So I think obviously we'll have some bad moments here and there as well, but good moments. We're going to have to capitalise on them. And I thought against Leeds, albeit Leeds, I think probably if I was going to pick a winner, maybe it was Leeds, just about. But I think towards the end of the game, Norwich actually were very, very good. And the main thing I actually took from that game is our fitness, mate. It feels, and that's quite weird for me to say actually, because it feels like in pre-season all the work was kind of orientated towards technical work, but actually, like physically, the team were like really, really on it, and that was so good to see. I think although actually in the first half against Leeds, I was talking to my mates and I was thinking, gosh, I think we're lucky here to be winning luck, boys. But I look at the stats at half time, and Norwich actually edging Leeds on XG, etc., etc. So I think what is quite deceiving about Leeds actually is they look so good in the attacking third in the build-up, because they've got such quick, agile players, and they can link up with each other so well and effectively. And I think that is what happened on the game on Tuesday night. I was very, very impressed with the way that Norwich kind of took the game to Leeds. And I think if you compare that performance to, those player semi-final games, then a stark difference in terms of intent, mindset and bravery, I think, just like a complete polar opposite. And that is absolutely so good to see. So I'm very encouraged by overall with those performances. Look, a win would be nice, but I think if we beat Hull, I think we'll look back at that Leeds game and think, yeah, we got a good point against Leeds there. What's your kind of overall thoughts from a point perspective? Would you have taken a point against Leeds, or would you wanted 3 after quite a good performance?
No, I was more than happy with a point, to keep that unbeaten home run going against a side who, of course, under a manager Norwich fans are extremely familiar with. They know exactly the style of football that he's going to bring against this new look Norwich team. And albeit maybe we weren't at the races the whole game based off what I saw of statistics. Of course, we were always going to win it on expected goals because a penalty is almost one expected goal. It's a free shot on goal from 12 yards. So there's no surprise really on that. But then again, a point against Leeds is great, I think, because they are such a top team. They are expected to be in the title fight and automatic promotion. They are always going to be right up there because they are a brilliant side with so many talented individuals and a manager who in 4 seasons rather at this level has won the league twice and got to a playoff final. You don't just do that because you're fluky and individual brilliance. You do it because you are a very good manager. And again, to get a point, especially with a new look team, such a young side, even to take the lead and hold on for a decent amount of length of time and then hold Leeds to a point is impressive. Had some chances maybe to get a win late on, but were unable to. It was unlucky at times, but even a win against Derby, a team who hadn't lost at home in 9 games, they hadn't conceded at home in the 3 home games they played this season. We go and stick 3 past them, or rather, Sainz goes and sticks 3 past them. Of course, 2 of them rather controversial because apparently the ball went out of play, but who cares anymore? If you still care about that and your side have played another game, then really you just move on. We can all move on. The game is history. It's been done. It's almost happened a week ago. Just leave it now. And Norwich are in fine form at the moment. I mean, we're talking about, well, there was an international break, of course, about a month ago. We're going to have another one after this Saturday. Norwich, before the first international break, had 1 win in the league. They've now go into this after that international break. They lost their first game against Swansea, and then it's 7 points from the following 9. A win against Hull. Norwich have 10 points from 15 in the whole month of September and a week of October. That is such an amazing little 3-4 week period if we are to beat Hull. And of course, a side who started off really poorly, but have now started to hit form under their new manager. And I think they've won 3 in a row now, I believe. So they're starting to really pick it up and look like the side that we were used to of them last season under Rossini. But Will, overall, that month of September, do you think that has showcased that Norwich are starting to compete at a high level now? As I've just said, 7 points from the last 9, and then albeit the loss against Swansea in the first game back after the international break. But if Norwich are to beat Hull, 10 points from 15 in sort of that whole month just gone, and then just the first week of October, do you think that September and the run that Norwich were on, picking up a decent amount of points, does that show that maybe they can be a side to compete at the top end of this division and showcase what a lot of people are used to of Norwich City in the Championship?
Look, I think it's difficult because I think it feels like this year, this league is so open. I really can't predict who's going to be in the top 2 right now. So yes, that gives Norwich an opportunity. I do remember telling you actually, Freddie, I think it was in one of our post-match live streams as well. We were saying that these games come up against the likes of Watford, Swansea, Derby. It's a great opportunity for Norwich to pick up points. And I think although the Leeds game show really good promise and really, really good kind of thoughts for the season ahead, it feels like for me, in order for Norwich to kind of mount a playoff push, I think we're going to have to try and showcase those performances against better sides in this league. And I actually think Hull are actually one of those better sides in this league. Look, I know they had quite a slow start, but they put in quite a lot of money in their team, and they've got quite a nice side brewing. So I think these 2 games coming up at home are going to be very, very important. In terms of if Norwich are kind of back to a good level again, absolutely, I think so. And the thing is, it feels like we're playing really, really good football right now compared to last year, where it's a bit hit and miss in terms of style of play. But it feels like this year we've kind of got our style of play back, and it's really, really showing rewards. A lot of players now are actually contributing with goals, albeit Sainz has actually got a hat-trick against Derby. But I think we saw against game against Watford, I think there was 4 different goal scorers, and 2 of them were our left back. So that just goes to show that there starts to be some more variety on the score sheet now as well. And Sudden's coming back, it feels like, into really, really good shape in front of goal. Albeit that penalty, I don't know about you, Freddie, but there is some questionable goalkeeping there, I think, from Meslier, absolutely. But we take it and move on. Look, I very, very enjoyed watching Norwich recently, and what it's been like across the season for me is I'm just so happy that the vibe around the club, it feels so positive and good, and I think that is what makes it so powerful, this project, because if the fan interest is there and the buy-in is there, then I think there's a better chance of success. And I think we're seeing the nutrients and the green shoots of players playing really well, especially the all our new signings as well. I do just want to touch on Cordoba, because I think that could be a big blow if he's injured, because it feels like our back four started to get some nice balance. We had obviously kind of a left back playing that kind of hybrid centre back role. And then we had Cordoba giving us that like powerful, physical kind of like robustness in defence, as well as his ball playing qualities. Shane Duffy kind of giving us the steal and aerial ability, and Callum Fisher has just turned into prime Trent in the last 2 weeks as well. So it just feels like we had I'm just a bit annoyed that if Cordoba is out for a while, mate, I think it's going to be quite a big blow, definitely, because I think then you've got to make some sacrifices. And as we saw against Leeds, mate, we saw Callum Fisher drop in at left back, and obviously Stacey came in at right back. Just on that, actually, do you think Forup played that right? Would you, or maybe put on Hanley, or would you kind of maybe move Kelly back at left back, or do you think he did the right thing there? He put best players in our best positions, and Fisher looked quite good.
Well, it's an interesting one, because Fisher has played so many different positions, of course, over pre-season, playing as a midfielder, a left back, and a right back. But why not just bring on Ben Chrysene, who's a natural left back? You know, that is the sort of that's the change.
He's out, mate.
Oh, is it? Oh,
yeah,
I must have missed
he's
that.
Got like a concussion and it's like
Oh, of course, yes,
yeah.
No, I did see that. Sorry, that completely slipped my mind. No, fair enough. No, I'll hold my hands up and admit I'm wrong there, and I did see that. That's poor from me. But okay, all right, fair enough then. No, then yeah, no, he got the change spot on, and that's all I have to say. Nothing else he could have done.
Love that. Yeah, and I think looking at that, and that, as I've now stated the whole defence, I think it's a good time to kind of go into our preferred team for the weekend. To be fair to you, mate, I'll keep it nice and short. I'll only make one change, and that is because, and I put Schwarzer back in for Slimani. I don't think it's down to how somebody performed against Leeds. Albeit, actually, I thought against Leeds, a little point to add. I thought our whole midfielders, when they're getting the ball in those midfield areas, it felt like their first touch was a bit sloppy at times, and they were just a bit clunky to kind of like get the ball and go. Maybe that was down to Leeds' press and organisation to try and block those passing lanes, but that's just like a general thought as well. But the reason why I'll bring in Schwartz out for Slimani, it's something on Slimani's performance against Leeds. I thought it was good, and he gave us the necessary steal and kind of ability that we needed. But I think it's more down to opposition. And every time I watch Hull this season, if you get through their press, there is so much space to open up centrally. Their main kind of formation out possession is like a 4-1-4-1 mid-block. But to be fair, their formations are quite versatile in and out of possession. But the amount of times that I've seen teams play through Hull's press is absolutely incredible. I think the game against Sheffield United, actually, both Sheffield United goals come from literally Hull being so exposed at the back and just having nobody's back. So I feel like if Norwich win the midfield battle and they constantly break through Hull's press. There is so much rewards for Norwich to get at the weekend. And I think Schwartz is probably one of our best players in that midfield at giving us some ball carrying abilities, good first touch, and kind of good quick build-up play in midfield third. And I think Somali just doesn't really kind of give you that as much as Schwartz could. I know it can be quite harsh, but I just feel the way Hull play, I think there's a massive, massive chance for Norwich to try and really kind of break through Hull's press, really. Hull are a very, very unorthodox team as well. I'm actually quite surprised by their goalkeeper choice in Panda. They have Carl Rushworth on the bench, who did so well for Swansea last season. But Panda is keeping out the team, and Panda's done really well for Hull recently. Some very, very good saves, and particularly after being a bench warmer last season, he's come in and done very, very well for them. So fair play to them. And then they do this really weird thing where their defenders, Alfie Jones or Sean McLaughlin, one of them will kind of come out the back line and join and kind of drop into midfield, and their goalkeeper will kind of make up like a back four, which is kind of really, really brave and bold. But that is a concept of Tim Volter's. I think he said in his before he came to Hull that he plays his really, really kind of dynamic style of play, and it's very, very attacking football. But yeah, just want to point out McLaughlin, really. I think when he has showcased his quality to kind of run out from defence, he's been really, really good and composed at playing into midfield. And he just looks very, very comfortable at doing so. So it's going to be very, very interesting for Norwich, because I feel like this team are one of the most tactically interesting teams in the league. And if Norwich kind of... I'll be very, very curious to see if Norwich kind of adapt their pressing patterns for this team. So time will tell. But a very, very weird team to absolutely to kind of watch and see play. But their top man recently has been a guy called Balumi on the right flank. I have got a Hull fan, and he calls him the Algerian Mahrez, as he's already Algerian as well. So maybe that is a bit of a worry for signs of things to come, but I can see why. A great left foot, and one of his goals against Cardiff was actually a lovely kind of left foot to kind of cross goal into the box, bottom corner. Very, very good technical quality. And at this minute, FootMob have him at an average rating of 7.35. So a very, very good player for Hull. And actually, I think he's keeping Abi Kamara out the team. So make that what you will. Yeah, but they've got some very, very nice players. Zambrano in midfield is a very, very good ball-winning midfielder, but he can also play forward really nicely as well. Whether Hull look to play either Katie Palmer, Slater, or Siemens alongside Mellon at a weekend in midfield is going to be interesting. Obviously, Palmer scored against Stoke, and it kind of gives you that technical quality and that creativity. So we'll see there, especially as Mark Roberts wanted to kind of keep him during the summer anyway. So a very, very interesting side, and they've got quality, Freddie. I'll be very, very shocked, mate, if this game is not a goals. If this game hasn't got a lot of goals, because both teams love to attack, and I see a lot of spaces for teams to kind of penetrate in. My only worry is for both teams is that they're both quite leggy, as they both play quite like an intense style of play. So time will tell, mate. But I think there's goals in this one.
No, there certainly could be. As you've already mentioned there, both teams are in fine goal-scoring form as of late, despite the fact, well, before these last two games, really, for Norwich against Derby and Watford, they only had 4 goals all season. They then go and score 7 in their last 2. So they're starting to finally click a little bit going forward. They're getting a few more goal scorers in the team, but still Sainz and Sargent are flying. Well, it's 8 goals in the last 3 now, technically. So Norwich are really starting to crack on and maybe look a little bit more defensively sound, and going forward they seem a bit more confident, and that they certainly now know where the back of the net is. But Hull can do that as well. Of course, didn't start very well at all, had a really poor run, and now they're 3 wins in a row. That they're starting to pick up a head of steam. This is really interesting, this match. 2 teams who are really starting to pick up form and look strong under new managers, and their play styles are becoming evident. So it's a really interesting one, maybe as a test to sort of see where they properly are, and can they go and beat arguably a top team against each other, 2 sides who were right up there in the playoff mix for the majority of last season. So 2 teams who know they were up against it, and that it will be a feisty encounter, and Hull will want to be the side who end Norwich's amazing home run, and Norwich will want to continue that. Of course, that's such a big thing to have looming over your head, regardless of the team you play for, because you know, and the Carrow Road crowd, of course, will be right up for it. That could make the difference in this game, with them being right up for it and making it a cauldron of noise and a hard one to play for. But in terms of my starting 11, there's two changes for me. If Cordoba is a scare, I don't think he'll play. I think that is early for him to play again. So realistically, you have to shift Doyle to left back, or he's already been there rather. So you keep Doyle at left back, and then who comes in at centre half is a complete sort of, it's up in the air. Do you go with Hanley because he's fully fit and he's the experience, but you already have Duffy there? Do you finally take a chance in the Championship on Brad Hills, who's barely played in this league and has only been playing youth football? For me, I think you take that chance. I think Hanley, as we all know, is mistake prone. He's not been the same since he came back from the really nasty injury against Blackburn 2 seasons ago. Hills has showcased in pre-season that he can be in this team and try and show a good level and high motivation to get himself into the team, but he's not had that starting chance. He's only started one game all season, and that was against lower league opposition. He just doesn't seem to be doesn't seem to be trusted. I think maybe they're just a bit scared that it could go wrong for him. And there's a lot of course, every game in the Championship is a big game, regardless of when you play it. But I think you have to take that risk, because if Cordoba isn't fit, then there is no point risking him and playing him and making an injury worse. And because then you end up from what could have been maybe a 1 or 2 game spell where he doesn't play. When we have an international break where he's going to have almost a full 2 weeks to just regain any fitness. If it's a small injury, it's a perfect game just to rest him and give him the 2 weeks to train, and maybe he won't be in the Panama squad. But if you play him and he gets injured, then you run a massive, massive risk of losing a very important player, it seems, over the last few weeks. But that would be one change for me. The other one, as much as I think there is a player in Ante Cianat who is just waiting to burst and really crack on and make a name for himself, I still just can't see it right now. I just can't see it for him. I think that, for me, that's who you take out for Oscar Sfartau. That's who and you play him on the right. I think, as you mentioned, Will, Norwich are going to have to win a lot of midfield battles. Anis Slimane provides just that, a big physical player who loves to tackle, gets stuck in, full of running. You need his intensity and physicality in a game like this. And Sfartau, of course, another big physical player, despite his age and not really the biggest frame. Of course, he can add that as well. But I think for his attacking capabilities, Norwich need him. And I think maybe he just has offered that little bit more and more promise than Cianat has. But I wouldn't be surprised to see a somewhat unchanged team from Thorup, because it's been working brilliantly for him as of late. But I think those changes need to be made, and you need rotation as well. It's hard for a player to play 2 games in just a matter of days, 3 games in a week. It's difficult to keep up with that physical demand, but these players could well prove me completely wrong and go on for it. But speaking of rotation, it's been revealed yesterday by the Pinkin that Norwich has started to look in the free agents market for some forwards. They've, of course, have got 2 spare slots in their squad. You can name a 25-man squad. Norwich have got a 23-man squad. And a name which has cropped up is a player who they've been linked with before, and a player who Thorup has worked with before. It's Emiliano Marcondes, who most recently played for Bournemouth, sort of a rotational player with them when they were in the Championship and the Premier League as well. But although Thorup himself sort of spoke out about it in a press conference, talking about it does go against really the ideology of himself and Napa to bring the average age of a squad down. He's 29 years old, Marcondes. So you boost that average age up a little bit. But he's a player who Thorup, of course, knows very well, and even is admitted he keeps in contact with, and he's always keen. He always looks out for him and hopes that he can get himself a new club after Bournemouth didn't want him anymore. But What do you make of that, Will? Norwich are looking in the free agent window, maybe for some more rotational options with Fasnacht, Hernandez and Barnes all out for a few more weeks. Well, Hernandez and Barnes are out for the next 10 weeks. So do you think that's a smart option by Norwich, and that looking in the free agents window is good of them? Or maybe do you think that we can be happy with what we've got right now, and do you just hold off until a little bit later in January to make those sort of signings, or do Norwich really need them now? And then when those players come back in 10 weeks' time, would it seem a little bit odd, because then you have more players to then rotate?
Look, I first saw this story reported by Connor, and my first override emotion was just pure sadness, really, to be fair. And the reason why I say that really is, hang on, before I go on my little tangent, I will just like to add, if this free agent player is a striker, I'm more open to it. But the fact of the matter is, it's like, from what I'm getting, and obviously looking at my Connors as a player, it looks like it's going to be like a player in the kind of attacking line, but I'm not the striking position. And I think when you come into a club, and obviously, like you say there, Freddie, about the average age, when you come into a club and you've got really, really good stats for bringing you through and wanting to kind of bring them through and kind of showcase and develop them, I just think it's a bit contradicting, really. Obviously, he has given a full debut to Gabe Forsyth, and Miles has made his debut as well. But the thing which I'm struggling to kind of get on board with this my contest signing is, or someone similar of his ilk is, I'm thinking he'll play about 3 or 4 games, and like start 3 or 4 games a season, come off the bench about 4 or 5 times, and then leave in January. And my reasoning with a free agent signing, it's always been because they're on the market like this late for a reason, and not a good reason. That's my kind of perspective on it. And I think the fans this season, they have a mindset where they aren't too fussed if we don't kind of reach the upper echelons of the league this season. And it feels like there isn't as much pressure on JHT to like really hit the ground running. But it feels like, for me, JHT is trying to raise the standards really high, and he wants buy-in in his project by the players and the supporters, etc., etc. And I just think that leaves those youth players a bit behind. And I personally, I'm not a fan of it, because I feel like this season you've got time to develop these players, give them opportunities. If Farrell didn't think that Forsyth was good enough, he wouldn't have started against Blackburn. So why are we now changing ship about 2 months later? I'm just not convinced about it, mate. I just think it's quite a rash decision. And ultimately, it feels like what you're sending out there is, if you're looking in the free agent market, you're basically saying that those youth players aren't good enough yet. I'm a bit perplexed by it, mate. I can't lie to you, because I have seen firsthand what likes of Elliot Miles, Gabe Forsyth can do. And if they get given a run of games, I feel like they will definitely kind of give you some output. Look, I'm not saying to start Elliot Miles and Gabe Forsyth every game. Look, I know we're in a very, very kind of demanding business where managers like need results, to kind of get pressure off their backs. Absolutely, I understand that, but I'm just going to keep coming back to it. This first season, there's literally barely any expectation for you to kind of go on like a playoff charge or a promotion charge. It feels like this season would have been a great opportunity to try and develop these players and try and get them in the first team and get them close to the first team. And it feels like now with Norwich, over the last 2 years, they're trying to bring through like an absolutely insane, immaculate talent who's got absolutely like immense potential, and is going to go on to like the real upper echelons of the game. And it just feels like right now, those standards are so high for those players to hit. It feels like they aren't getting enough time and support to try and really, really like get into the team. We saw when Max Aarons was here, Jamal Lewis was here, Todd Campbell was here, they needed some time in a third-team environment and with like proper games to really flourish and become the players that they were. And right now it feels like the likes of Gabe Forsyth, Elliot Miles, etc., they've got to impress in like 30-minute cameos to try and force a way into the team. Look, I know like maybe it's quite a firm opinion, but in my opinion, seriously, I think there's absolutely no need to sign a free agent attacking midfielder, because I think there's talent in the academy there which can be nurtured and developed. And I don't think that there's literally barely any pressure for JHT this season to get into like a playoff or a promotion push. As long as Norwich are above water and playing well and performances are good, that's absolutely fine this season. That's what I've accepted. Maybe some other supporters, and maybe I've been a bit cruel here in putting words into other supporters' mouths. But personally, although I do want to see Norwich do well, I have a bit of leeway this season, and if I see those players getting opportunities and getting chances and games to nurture, I'm more than happy to kind of be content with a decent finish and not being in those upper echelons of the league. I just think they deserve time, and right now I feel like Norwich trying to produce is absolutely out of this world talent for the first team, and right now it feels like they need help and not just like kind of not getting chucked out, if that makes sense. I know they're not getting chucked out as such, but it feels like there's like there isn't enough kind of support there for them to kind of flourish at a very good level, because they're constantly getting overlooked by other players. And if I do see Mark Connors come through the door, I will be very happy. But that's my opinion. If he does come to Norwich, good luck to him, but not for me, Clive.
No, well, see, I think if anything, some more attacking options are needed. For me, I think that Norwich are right to be looking in the free agents list. We have 2 extra squad slots available for the first team squad. Of course, if you bring in other players from a youth academy onto a match day bench, you haven't maybe necessarily got to register them in your whole 25-man squad. But I'm not really sure on the rules around that. So that'll be an interesting one that I'm sure someone out there can give me more information on. But I think it makes sense because, albeit there's still quite a decent amount of options from the youth sides and in the first team currently, there is still the fact of the matter that Norwich have got 3 attackers missing for at least, well, Fastnax I'm not sure about, but there is 2 attacking options missing for 10 more weeks. That is a long time and a lot of games. If Norwich get another 1 or 2 attacking injuries, it becomes a bit of a crisis, and then you run out of forward options. Say someone like Sainz or maybe Sainz gets injured, then Norwich they haven't got much depth there to bring in another player and get them into the starting 11, and then they can crack on and be a regular starter. I think it's perfectly fair that we're looking at free agents. Yes, maybe, as you said, the fact that they're still available and no one's picked them up isn't a good thing. But if there's decent enough players available who and the manager believes can make a genuine difference and bring impact to the side and provide more depth, then why not? Because you need that. Any football team needs that. You need good options in every area of the pitch, because if a player gets injured or they're not up to the performance levels in a game, then you have someone there who you believe in and you can get on the pitch and try and make that direct difference. Yes, Marcondes as well wasn't exactly flourishing at Bournemouth either as a Championship player or as a Premier League player, hence why he's been let go. But it's someone who we've already alluded to, the manager knows well and has a good relationship with in football. So maybe that could help the signing work, maybe. But it's an interesting one, and we'll have to see as to what Johannes Ottorp and Ben Napper decide. It's up to them to bring players through the door, and it's up to them to decide if they're good enough. And ultimately, as well, in an academy sense, it's up to them if they would rather use that route and bring up younger players and give them a chance. But anyhow, there's all your lot, really. There's what's been going on over the last few weeks over Norwich City and what's been going on in the week gone by and even the week to come, as Norwich are at home again in a 12:30 kickoff on a Saturday. Shock horror. It's another 12:30 for the Canaries this season, but they're at home against Hull City, 2 sides who really look as if they're starting to crack on and find their feet in the Championship, and they're both in fine form. But Norwich have a 22 home game unbeaten run to worry about. This has been Nodge Spotlight on the My Football Writer YouTube channel. I've been Freddie Humphrey Wakefield. He has been Will Grant. If you did like this video, leave a thumbs up below and even subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It's goodbye for now, and we will see you for the next video here, hopefully over the weekend.